How you going, guys? So welcome back to NZ Mopar Kustoms. So this will be possibly, I think I got a bit much footage from yesterday. So this may be part way through, but I'll make this as a start and then we'll go back to yesterday. So I would have been buffing this out. I want to do a little bit more on it, but since I've got the paint to do the wood stain stuff to start that, I'm about to do that. I've got everything prepped and wiped down and everything like that. So basically I'm going to do that next, but you'll see this and then this will probably be there closer to the, well, I won't say the end of the video, but part way through the video. It'll jump into that. So I'm about to mix that paint up. So I'm going to do that, but I'll see you a wee bit later on in the video. It'll jump back to that, I think. I got quite a bit of footage yesterday, and I don't think I'm going to squeeze it into 15 minutes, if you know what I mean, which is about what I need for the end of the video. So I'll see you a wee bit later on when we come back to doing this paint, mixing and spraying. I'll do this, I'll show these couple. I just wanted to go by myself, just start to get a head on this thing, just to get a feel for it. Before I commit to video. So I'm making sure I give it a bloody good soak now. So much wet. It's a good spray too. It's a little bit soapy in this too. Just sort of similar to what I had before. It's wet sand. Swirl on this. Hardly done anything really. Just bring that first bit of luster up just to see where we're at. Just want to take it quietly. As I said before, I've done a bit of this, but only on my old vehicles and stuff like that, you know. I've done it like on freshly painted stuff, but mainly in the iron, and it's been a while. Just want to take the time, so no one has to do anything twice. I can get away with it. But so you can see how quick that came up from. Now from that where it's basically no shine, and it wouldn't be hard to bring it up, but to a little bit of shine, you know. Just that initial. By the time we've gone around it a couple of times like that and pulled it up and see what it looks like, I think it's pretty good. There was a very slight sag in that door somewhere, and I can't, here I can't see it now, so if it is, it's very minor. It's not standing out, I think, so that's good. But yeah. That's kind of what I'm doing, just gently going over it, and if I have to go around it 3 times and just gently do it, and just gently bring it up, I'd rather do that than go gung-ho, if you know what I mean, until I get a really good feel for that polisher and whatever. Ah, I'm just going to re-grizzle here. Just left home. to buy the missus and whatever. And get here, she knows I'm buffing, and I'll just crank the machine up, start the buff, phone goes, and she starts waffling on to me about the new stuff that she must have rung one of the travel agents here just to check, because there's been some new, well, some of the mandates have been dropped off and where she just wanted to check, but why she couldn't wait till I got home to tell me, you know, what she needed to know, I don't know, but what she wanted to tell me, instead of disturbing me when I'm just starting to get going here again. It just drives me crazy. But anyway, righty, so I've given the firewall a quick buff. Obviously I didn't really concentrate on getting the orange peel out, but I just took the top off it, and we've given it a buff, so at least it's nice and clean and shiny again. Done here, this is probably, I've done most of the body, well, that side of the body twice now, and this side of the body and the back of the body once, and I've gone over this probably a couple of times since I've been around it once, if you know what I mean. So this is sort of where I'm starting to get comfortable with the buffer, and I've sort of gone over this twice since, so this has had about 3 sort of good rub backs, but I'm not going heavy each time, you know. But yeah, I'm about to go back down the rest of the body, but it's looking pretty good. Like, we'll have a really good assessment when it's all cleaned up and I've been over it a couple of times, and decide whether I'm happy with the finish or whether I want to maybe go back, say like 1500 and then build back up to 3000, then maybe buff it again. We'll see. Just see how the finish looks, because it was pretty orange, it was pretty textury, but it looks a damn sight better than it did, heaps better. But we'll just see by the time we buffed it out a couple of 3 times, just to see what it looks like. It may just need another buff, if you know, by the time I sort of done it sort of 3 times around, without being stupid. It's like what I mean, for one time, I'm sort of giving it a really good go, backwards and forwards, up and down, you know, until the panel sort of starts to dry, stop, wet it down, go again, until it starts drying out again, and then that's once. So I've done that 3 times on that other front side. So like, it's not as though I've, you know what I mean, like, that's sort of my once, you know, mist it down, layer the pad up with some buffing compound, give it a really good, till it starts to dry off, but it's still damp, you know what I mean, like, it hasn't dried off or anything like that, if you know what I mean, but it's just starting to, wet it down, go again, till it's starting to dry off again, and then, yeah, and then give it a clean up with run rag for a start off, one that I've been using to sort of wipe the residue off, and then another clean one to give it a, you know, polish up, looks nice and clean, have a quick assessment and go again. So I've done, yeah, that one, this piece sort of twice, well, most of the side twice, I guess, till about here, and then I've done the rest of it once. I gave it a light buff over that, and you just about can't tell. Yeah, and I've done that sort of front piece 3 times, and I've given it in around here a couple of light blows too, to try and just clean up the edges, but this here I won't touch anymore, because it's got all the, what do you call it, that stuff on it, webbing on there, so it doesn't really need done anymore. But, you know, we may go over this again, and just assess it, but we'll get it all to 3, and then we'll assess it and decide whether maybe we want to go back to 1500, 2000 and 3000, or whether it just needs another couple of goes over, if you know what I mean, just to really bring it up to where we think I want it to be. Because I have noticed there's still a little bit more speckly than I would like, if you know what I mean, but in places it's really, really good. Like here, it's almost like, you know, almost perfect, if you know what I mean. And then here's good now, because I gave this a light go over with the 3000, And when I buffed it, I've rubbed over there just gently a couple of times, and it's taken all that harsh edge off. That's really nice and clean and smooth now. So I won't need to go back near this, if you know what I mean. So yeah, but it's looking really good. There's the odd little spot that I'm not 100% happy with, but that's what I mean. Like, you know, I might just have to go back maybe a little bit with sandpaper and then bring it back up and buff it a couple of times again, just to bring it to where I'm sort of happy. But we'll see. By the time I've gone around 3 times and then maybe do another one, we might be good. Righty, so I've actually changed my tack a little bit, the way I've been approaching this and buffing it back. Obviously for a start off, because I wasn't used to that, and it's been a fairly long time since I've used one, I was doing it fairly wet, you know what I mean, like I was misting quite a bit of water on there, but I found that when I cut it back, almost just give it a very couple of light mists, and then put a bit of cutter in there, I could actually cut it for quite a bit longer and get a better cut back, but still was very mindful of not getting dry, obviously, and then I'd just stop, just give it another just couple of gentle mists from a wee way back, just so there was enough mist on the panel, and then hit it again, and then reload the pad with more cutter, and just go over the panel again, and then just mist it again, and just make sure that the pad stayed damp, not, you know, not sopping or anything like that, but just I could still feel that it wasn't drying out and it was staying moist, if you know what I mean. So yeah, that's what I've been doing, and I've come around to here, fairly like hitting it a couple of times. I'm going to hit that front door again. There's one spot there actually annoying me. It's quite I don't know if I can get it to show up or not. Here looks quite textury, so I want to actually, I'm going to hit it again with a buff. If it doesn't come out, I'm going to wet sand that section, and any others that I spot that are like that annoy me. Like, it looks really good from, you know, like 3-4 feet, you know, 1.5 meters sort of, you know, 4 or 5 feet away. It looks freaking shit hot. It really does. But when you get a bit closer, you can see, and I think it probably, if it was outside in the sunlight, that would show up a bit more than I would like, if you know what I mean. But when you, like, really, the whole girl looks friggin', I'm pretty wrapped with how it's come out. Like, it's pretty straight. Is it dead perfect? No, but it's pretty friggin' straight. But anyway, I'll have a quick talk to Arco again. I just sent him some messages, but yeah, so I'll talk to you shortly, and I'll show you what I've been doing down the other side. Alright, hopefully I can get you a decent shot here. So I've already just hit this once. I'll do the full thing, but I was just end up talking to Arco, but Load it up for compound again. Probably just put much water on there, but should be right. You just don't want that panel to dry off so you start burning paint. A little bit of moisture makes a hell of a difference. If you can see what I'm doing there. Basically, I'm just, whatever you're using, whatever residues left over, just to get the buff up, get the corners, whatever. For that one, the cleaner or rag. Good polish up just to see where we're at, see what it looks like. Well, so that's sort of finished result there after another hit. Frickin' scratching this frickin' lens is just a pain, but you kind of see what that looks like. Looks pretty bloody good to me. Maybe there may be the odd patch I want to hit again, but like I said, wet sand back. But at a general glance, it's looking pretty frickin' sharp. We haven't waxed or anything like that, yet, which is only going to bring the luster up more. So, yeah, still early stages, but she's looking shit hot. Well, I finally got my frickin' paint. They dropped it off over at the house this morning, but they took it inside and never frickin' told me. So I got clear and obviously thinners and paint, so that should be a low sheen, I think. Sorry about turning fast. I presume that's 20%, 30% gloss, so that's cool. So I don't want it really shiny. And if we do happen to want it a bit shiny, we can always buff it. Let's see what colour this is. See what colour this is. Hopefully they haven't screwed up and mixed the wrong colour, if you know what I mean. It should be the same colour as what's on the inside of that piece. The old piece of trim looks like it might be the about right colour. Yeah, I guess it's close. Let's have a look. Yeah, it's pretty good. We'll go with that. sweet. So yeah, I just hope the stain we got to go over top and let it dry just doesn't react with the clear, but if we let it dry and dry and dry and dry and then just put a couple of gentle light coats over, hopefully it'll be fine. But what I'm going to do is I gave this a rough clean up, so I'll spray this as well, the brown, and then we'll test it. We'll test the wood grain on this and then see what it looks like. If it's fine, the colour over top, we'll do the rest, and then we'll use this once it's dried to test the clear. And if it reacts on that, well, we know we've got to do something else, if you know what I mean. Anyway, I wish I kind of had that frickin' this morning, because I actually probably would have stopped doing that and sprayed that shit before I started buffing. I probably could have, but yeah, I didn't realise it had been dropped off over there, because I rang the paint place and I said, oh yeah, no, it was sent out in the courier frickin' this morning, you should have it. Oh yeah, right, oh, maybe I dropped it over the house, so I wandered over there and had a look at the back door or whatever like that, just in case it had been sat down there and whatever. I thought they might have left it outside, so if I walked over I would have seen it, instead of having to knock on the door and go, has there been some paint dropped off here? But yeah, I know if the owner of the vehicle was home, he probably just would have brought it over, but they didn't think to even yell out to me to say it was here. It was just, they obviously expected me to come over there and knock on the door and check, instead of just leaving it at the back door for me to grab. But anyway, so yeah, we'll do that in the morning. Yeah, and I'll try and cover that up. I've got a couple of sheets there. I'll try and cover the worst of it, if you know what I mean, so I don't get over spraying it. It's no biggie anyway. Like I'll try and set that stuff up nicely over there, and yeah, just quietly spray it, and yeah, that should be alright. Then I can come back and do that, and leave it till the next day, and then we'll check to see whether this wood stain, the red wood, not really sure if that's the right sort of colour, but we'll go with that. We'll see what it looks like. If it looks like shit, we'll try something else. We'll buy another little tin of it and try it. But yeah, so yeah, we'll do that. Spare pieces of tester, test it for the clear and test it for that, and yeah, least thing we know before we go to do the right pieces with both steps, whether we're heading the right direction or whether we're going to make a kind of a fucking mess and have to start again. So yeah, I know if the clear reacts, biggest problem, so you don't really want to mix. I'll leave the clear up and then try and spray it, but I might better just try and just gently mix a little piece up and spray it and see what happens. But we're probably going to have to, once we've got that on there, we're probably going to have to leave that for several days until it's really dry, and make sure it's completely dry. At least then I'll have half a chance of not reacting, if you know what I mean, because just trying to see what sort of base it is, if you know what I mean. It's water based, so we might be right. It's no oil in it, so yeah, we might be right. See what happens. If we're just gentle, just mist, do a couple of light mist coats and let it really tack off, almost deep dry, and then we'll do another one, and then we'll do a couple of wetter ones when we do them. I think that's probably the way to do it. Just really, almost fog it over and just let it sit for probably 10, 15, even closer to 20 minutes, and then we'll fog another one over it. And then once that's sort of tacked up fairly well, then we'll blow a couple of slightly heavier ones over it, and hopefully it's right, if you know what I mean. But I need to polish that front cowl piece again. I haven't done that. That's the only piece I haven't done with the heavy. And even though I did do it a couple of times we'll do it with the heavier buff out with not quite so much water, if you know what I mean. Soapy water. So I'll do that. Oh, looks alright from down here, doesn't it? Sitting back there. A spell for a minute. But yeah, kind of shiny, I think. It's not too bad at all. Right, I'll let that flash off and I'll come back and I'll turn them over and start it again. Just need to wait a few more minutes just so it's almost dry. Not quite, if you know what I mean. Just wait another 5-10 minutes I suppose and then we'll flip it over and we'll start spraying the outside. So that's kind of where I'm at the moment. Right, so that's, I guess, sort of 3 or 4 coats on there. Because most of them were sort of a quick double, if you know what I mean, when I did it. So yeah, so these will be now, in a couple of days, wet sanded back. Just with 600, just to flatten it off. I didn't really need gloss. But yeah, I'll just wet sand it with some 600 just to take the shine off it basically and just make sure that they're nice and clean and flat. And then we will try this water-based wood stain on and we'll start with that bit there since that's my test piece. And I know that's because it's not painted underneath. That's the main reason why I didn't paint it underneath, because I knew it would be a bit hard to tell afterwards. So yeah, it's got a good couple of 3 coats on it too. Like I made sure it's got similar sort of mount on there, so I end up with a similar sort of result. You know, I'll give that a quick sand back and whatever. So I didn't want to just put 1 coat on it and sand it and then all of a sudden it breaks through. I want to make sure that we're basically doing the same steps, so we end up with, you know, we can, if that one works, we can end up with basically the same result. So yeah. So yeah, it'll get that wood stain on it. We'll liberally put it on. This is what I've picked up from, I've never done this before, that's what I've picked up. So we'll liberally put it on once this is all sanded back and dried. And then I'll come along with a couple dry brushes and we'll dry brush technique it and try and put a bit of a grain effect in it, I guess. Most of the, from what I can see on this, kind of hard to tell. Where are we? No, not that one. Where's the other piece? Because it's better looking. You can see it a wee bit easier. You can sort of see it's fairly just straight, sort of strokes with an odd bit of a come along and then and then carried on sort of to represent knots and whatever that might have been close to a clean piece of timber. It's kind of what we're going for. So I think these ones here should be reasonably easy to do, like this small stuff. This is going to be the piece that's going to be a little bit more tricky to get a good result, if you know what I mean. But I'm going to try and make it so maybe that was the knot, and sort of brush it out around there, and then brush it out there, and do the sort of same effect up here. So yeah, so this here is seam, but that bit's not. So I've got to remember that too. So these pieces here are seam, and obviously the underseam. Undersides, we're not going to do anything with the underside. It'll just get, to be honest, it probably doesn't even need clear coated. We might just flick it over, turn it over a little bit for a start when we put the clear coat on. Just flick it around the edges, I guess, and then turn it over and then coat this other side, because it's going to be shiny on the other side anyway. I'm not going to sand it on the other side. It's a good paint. It's got a couple of coats on there. It may get some clear coat in the back of it, but I don't see the point. It's pretty sealed up anyway, if you know what I mean. So, yeah, just kind of out with that. So I think now now that I've finished spraying crap around and the air's probably settled, I'll whip these back off, and we'll give this another polish, I guess, because I still don't have any other bits for the gearbox, so I can't carry on with that. So that's probably what I'll do in between waiting for the wood stain. Hopefully I get those parts back. Otherwise I'll start using the fist, I think. I'm getting a bit grumpy with that sort of shit, but you know, I should have had those bits back and not had to take them back, but that's all good. So we'll carry on here. We'll have another play with that. I'm going to have a good look round it, and just see if there's any spots that I'm not happy with, not so much the shine, but the orange peel and the texture, because I know there's a few spots that probably could do with another rub, and then we'll rebuff. But it looks pretty good, but I just know that if it's out in the sun, there's an odd spot that's because the what do you want to call it? Because we had issues with the guns, or the spray gun when I sprayed it. Yeah, there's a couple of spots where the orange peel was pretty bad. So I might just rub the odd spot or the odd panel back, and we'll just rebuff. But yeah, we're pretty good. We're pretty good. It does look pretty sharp. I'm pretty happy with how it looks. If we can get a few of the other bits cleaned up a little bit better than it was, we'll be pretty happy. So I'm going to have a good hunt around now and just see if I can pick up the spots that I'm not really happy with. I might hunt out a light or something like that and just have a wee shine around, because it's a little bit dark and the day is a bit crappy, so there's not so much light in here today. And not so clean a light anyway, so we'll have a bit of a hunt around and work that out. Come back to you shortly. Yeah, that could be shiny enough, I think. I might give it another go just in a couple of little spots. I'm still a little bit funny there. There's a little bit of texture in that paint still. I'll just give it another go, I think. But I've just done this piece, and I've done it a couple of good heavy buffs, using the same method, just trying to keep the panel just damp, without letting it really dry off, so it doesn't burn, doesn't swirl. Yeah, I'm keeping away from the edges and just brushing over them every now and again when I want to, you know, and then just polishing it off with some toweling. I would like some microfiber cloths, but I just don't have any handy, if you know what I mean. When we go to put some wax and whatever else on top, and whatever, we'll do it with microfiber cloths then. So no, they do work better. But I'm pretty happy with that shine. So I've sort of done these two doors and the centre post and that front piece. Even here's pretty good. I haven't done this extra, if you know what I mean, like I've done these this morning. But yeah, it's looking pretty freaking smart. I'm pretty happy with the bodywork. I was a wee bit worried there when it was a wee bit textury, but I thought it might have been quite so pretty, but it's come up pretty shit hot. It's an odd little blemish, and the bodywork, it's pretty minor. I just wish the paint laid down a little bit better. Initially, it wouldn't have been quite so much work to bring it back. But when I start this Dodge, I'm going to order another spray gun and a 2.5mm tip from the primer, and I think I might order a minigun as well for doing small jobs. Just increase my arsenal a little bit and get rid of that other DeVilbiss. Well, mine's just working alright though. That might be right as a backup now. Might see if I can order a spring. A spare spring for one of them and then just chop it down, fit in that other gun. My 1.4 and get that working again, so I've got another spare gun. That's cool. That's where I'm at. This Matisse piece, that's why I picked it up. It looks a little funny at the moment, but I think by the time we get that grain effect on it, that darkens up a little bit, and it's going to look smart. And I think they're going to do the interior like a brown, like a tanny browny colour, I think. Righty people, so I am so keen I want to try this because it's still the same day as I painted it. It's pretty late in the day now. I know this isn't hard, but it's hard enough that I could probably just give it a gentle wet sand and at least see what this colour looks like on this, and give it have a wee test play, if you know what I mean. I just can't help myself. I want to see what it looks like, just in case we have to get something else different. Just see what it looks like, and then I can show the owner too. We can decide whether it's what we want to do or not. So I'm just giving this a quick shake up. I'll turn the camera off. I'll give this a quick wet sand with about a 600 that I've got there. Just give it a gentle rub. At least when it's wet, it should be alright. It shouldn't go too clear. I know it's too early, but it doesn't matter. It's only the sample piece. It's not primed or anything on the back. I just primed the top of it, and then it was even poorly done. It was just flicked really a couple of times, just enough to make the paint stick, I guess, just for a test sample. So I'll do that. I'll come back to you, open this up, give it a bit more of a stir, grab a brush, a couple of brushes, and have a wee play, and then I'll give them a rinse out. But yeah, just keen to see what this looks like, see what the colour's like, and just see whether it's going to be too red or whatever, or whether we need something a little bit darker or something. See what happens. Back in a minute. I think it's a little red. I've just brushed it on a few minutes ago. I'm going to maybe put another coat on it in the morning just to see. This is my test sample. I just feel it should be a little bit darker colour. Not quite so reddy. Maybe a little bit more brown. No? I don't know. It's not sure. Righty. Morning, guys. So I'm just going to give this a bit of a stir. Shake up. I'll give this another wee coat and just see if it changes anything, if you know what I mean. Probably won't have much effect in the first couple of minutes, but see how we get on here. It's pretty cold again this morning, but I'm out of diesel in the heat. I'm just going to work on getting some. But I've got a heat gun here if I need it, just to warm it up a little bit, just to help it go off. But I just still think it's a bit red. I'd like it to just, I don't know, a little bit brownier or something. It's not too bad. Just dry brush for a second. I might just give that a wee warm and I'll dry brush it. Make it thicken up a little bit. Maybe an extra coat of a layer or two, but I think it's still very, very red. Maybe. Have to do the ears too, I guess, but not too worried about this one. Undecided. Undecided. I think the extra layer does bring something else to it. I might just take a photo of it and then compare it to yesterday. Right, guys, so sorry about the noise here with the bloody heater on again. It's quite chilly, and if I'm going to be doing some of this, I think it's a bit cold. But if I get a bit of temperature back in the room, it'll be better. But I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to wet sand this back off, and I'm going to reapply a little bit of this at one end, do half of it, and leave the other half clean. And then we're gonna go get a more browny coloured one. But what I want to do is I want to put that on by itself and put the other browny one at this other end and have a look at that. But then I also want to put a browny one over top of this, just to get a feel for maybe a mix of the two, and just see what the brown looks like by itself. Because depending on what it looks like, I'll either start with that or just with the brown. I don't know. We'll see. I know a couple of layers doesn't look too bad, but I think it's too red. I think it needs to be a wee bit more just browny tones, not so much reedy tones. But I think maybe a little bit of the red, a little bit of the brown over top might look a little bit more woody too. It's hard to tell, you know. Sometimes some of the colours in the wood, you get that little bit of hint and a little bit of red and brown together. So I don't know. We'll play with it, you know, until we get a mix that we're happy with, and then I can start replicating it on this other stuff, because I'm sending them back down too with some wet and dry. So I'll get that done, and then yeah, we'll have a play with this again. Righty, so that took all of about less than a minute to frickin' clean off. So with just a wee bit of wet and dry, come off pretty easy. So it's no biggie if you do happen to put it on there and you don't like it. It comes off really easy, as long as you're using water-based, obviously. Just a wet bit of soapy water and some 600 or whatever you got handy. Obviously it's fine-ish. Even 400 would probably be alright, but you know, just give it a quick wet sand and yeah, come off so easy. So it's no major dramas there, but I'll paint the red on a little bit again, and just do one part of it, just a small end, like a shortish end of it, and then we'll try the brown, and we'll try the brown over top and see what colour he comes back with. It probably just depends on what's available too, you know, but we want to go for like a darker brown. So obviously as you put the coats on it, slowly it's darker, and we'll see how it looks. But yeah, we'll try it. a little bit of red, a little bit of brown, then we'll put a little bit of the brown over top of the red, and we'll see what sort of mix we come up with, and see which way, whether you want to just go straight brown or a little bit of the brown over top of the red. I quite like the red, but I think just it needs to be, I think a mix of brown in it would look really good, but maybe the brown might just look fine by itself too, so with a couple of coats. We'll see where we get. Righty. So we found. Unfortunately, we didn't find the same brand because the local shop here didn't have many different colours in that brand, but they had a different one there, which is just still water based. So we've got some cedar brown and some just brown bean, whatever that is. But that's quite a dark colour. That's more, I guess you'd call it a mid-brown. Well, that's quite a dark brown. So, I don't know. I guess we'll have a wee test play with these. Put one of them on the end, I suppose, and over it. I actually wish now I had I'd made a longer test piece. But I can always rub it off. I can always force dry it with the, what do you want to call it, heat gun, and get a bit of an idea, and then see if I can rub it off and see if we like it, and I can just keep taking photos and compare, and I can throw them up on a video anyway. So we might try a little bit of dark for start off, just on this other end. Let's see how we get on with that. Trying to find using for paint. Not that much. Let's try that out a little bit. Still a little bit damp from where I washed it out. Oh, it's heaps darker. I'll just try a little bit of over top of this and just try a little bit over here. I think that might be a bit dark. I think it's too brown. I think that's just too dark. It might be right for if you could just touch a little bit on a brush, maybe just brush. Just if you draw it, sort of almost dry brushed it across, if you know what I mean. Maybe once you've got the sort of colours, and if you've got it dry, just maybe just dry brush it across the top, if you know what I mean. And just got a little bit of it on there, it might be alright, but it's too dark like that, I think. What I might do is I might clean that off. Yeah. I might clean this off and go again with just that, and then do a blend. I don't mind it, but I might just force dry it and just see what it dries like. And it's a bit more drier. It's not too bad, but I think it's too brown. I think that there might be the winner. I think. little bit of everything maybe. Trying to. So this is kind of what we're comparing it to though too. You know what I mean? I just think that's too brown. I'm going to set this over on the car and that will force dried it. That might have been a little bit darker than it was yesterday too. The red. I don't mind that, but it's, yeah, I don't know. It's a hard one. Hard thing to work out, isn't it? That's what's over here. Yeah, really nosy. I'm too bloody low on it. But anyway, I can lift it up in a second. It's not too bad. It's not too bad. Again, it's sort of growing on me. Now it's sort of dried out of it. It's just, I think it's a matter of getting the, we'll try the other colour, we'll clean that off. I don't mind that, and even the combination of two's alright. But I think maybe just a little, if you get it on there a little bit lighter, and that on a little bit lighter, it might be right too, if you know what I mean. Just a slightly lighter blend. But we'll try the cedar, I think, first. But I don't mind that. I don't mind that. Now, it kind of looks funny there, just sitting on the paper, but when you actually sit on the car, it does look a little bit different. So yeah, I might just go sit on the car, take a couple of photos, and then we'll clean it back and we'll have another play. I actually wish I painted these now, because these are quite big pieces compared with that other piece. These are some pieces I actually, these were originally made longer, and we cut these bits off. I actually wish I painted these as well. You know, I could have had like a really good play with a whole heap of different colours. Fucking brassed off, I didn't do that now. Anyway, I could always paint them, but it's a lot of screwing around. Just to paint those two. If I'd painted them yesterday, because I had plenty of paint, I didn't even think about it, to be honest. I had enough paint that I could have just flicked it on, you know. Wouldn't have mattered if it didn't stick. But it would have been nice, just the colour off. Anyway, it's alright. Clean this off. Righty, so that's actually, it might be too light. It's similar to this but not as red. So, because I've got a little bit of a blend here. Just dry brush it a bit more. I think I'm going to force dry this, and I'm just going to get a little bit of that, paint it out on the thing, and then I'm just going to brush it out over the tool and just see what it looks like. I think a combination of one of these together will work. So I'll force dry this a little bit. So I know that won't lift. The cool thing is when it's like this, it washes off so easy. It's not too bad, is it? When it browns off. At least it's more browny. Let's give it a wee dab on the end of this. About the brush down. Find a mix somewhere that works. Just gonna put a little bit on the end of the brush. Brush it out. A little more. I mean, it's quite long enough. Activating again, isn't it? Damn it. Okay, that was too, still wasn't dry enough. Hot now. Let it cool down. It's a little bit hot. Gonna sit on the car and have a look at it. Alrighty, I think I actually preferred this kind of look for the best. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to clean this all off completely. I've taken photos. I'm going to see if I can try and replicate this. So this was more, I think, that, a little bit of that over top. So we'll see. And I think when I put that over top, it sort of dragged some of that off, so it exposed that undercolour, you know what I mean? So I think that just a combination of those two might be the best path. Put that on, sort of force dry it a little bit, and then as long as this isn't too hot, and then put a little bit of that over top, just almost dry brush it, or put a little bit on, and then dry brush it off. I'll see if I can replicate that and have another look, but it looks quite good on the car. I quite like it. I don't think the video actually does it justice. Kinda does. It looks a little bit orangier on the phone, or I think it's a little more browny off, but I think that's too much. That's too red. That would be alright, but I think that's quite a good mix of the main colour that's underneath, and the chocolatey brown and that cedar colour. I think that works quite good. We'll see. I'm going to clean it right off, and I'm going to do all that colour and just see what it looks like as one piece, if you know what I mean. We'll see. I reckon even a little bit of that underneath if it was really, really light, and then do those two. But I'll try it. See if I can get it all one colour. Alrighty, let's see if we can replicate what I just did before, but over the whole piece. I think we'll start off with this. Right up in the car and we'll have a look and we'll take another photo. Righty, I think we're on a win. I'm going to go with it. I think this technique, or something very close to it, I think will work perfectly. I quite like... Sorry, I'm a bit close. I'll stand back a little bit. Just trying to stand up in the box. So I think it blends really nicely with the blue and the black. It looks natural, doesn't scream at you. It's got that nice browny tones. This is very difficult because it's had been painted over top, but I think we're in that sort of range of colour what it was originally. And I'll throw a photo of a picture up of the car. I've morphed a picture of this and the car that's in Queenstown that's never been touched together, and it looks a similar sort of thing, if you know what I mean. I'll try and get it better as we go over the back and all that sort of stuff, but I think that there looks pretty nice. I think, that by itself is too much. I think it was too red yesterday. A couple of iterations we did this morning, I think could have worked, but I think that's a nice blend with that light coat of that chocolate first, spread it out, dry it, then the cedar brown over top, brush it out fairly thin, and then dry it, and then just a dab on the dry brush of that bean brown, whatever it is again, and then just slowly drag it over top as it's sort of drying. And then actually when it was almost dry, I just lightly brushed over it again, if you know what I mean, just to try and bring that colour back through. And I think it looks shit hot, I think. I think by the time you actually get some satin clear over it, it will really look like wood. So I think that's where I'm going to go. So I've finished getting these prepped. They're almost sanded back enough, but not quite. I'd like to just get a little bit more of that gloss off them. And then we will at least start putting the brown on them. And then I will slowly force dry them. I'll do it gently, because I don't want to screw this up. I'll slowly force dry it, let it sit for a wee bit, let these cool down, and then we'll put a little bit of that over it, and then slowly force dry it again. I'll use a combination between that and the ear to try and keep it at a decent temp, but dry it and then cool it down, and then we'll come back with a little bit of the chocolate, and we'll do a little bit of brush. We'll probably have to do each piece individually, but we'll try to do them together, but individually-ish, if you know what I mean. But I think that's the win. I really like that. It suits the car. It really suits the car. I like it. The red was too much, and that's more of a nice dark natural wood look, and I think that's kind of what it would have looked like when it was new, if you know what I mean. This is, we don't even know what the original colour of this was. This was just a colour that we picked, or that they picked, and I think it's really smart and it suits that colour, so we're going to go with that. So I'll give these a wee bit more of a prep, get everything where I'm happy, get the shiny off, all the shiny off it, and then we will attack this. I think it's going to be quite a job, but if it all turns out like that, I'm going to be absolutely freaking stoked. I'm liking that. I think even a little touch of that red might in there might be quite nice too, but I think that works really well. It's got that nice, you know, to be honest, that's so close to that. I think it works. It's a little bit more browny than that as it was red. I think it's just a combination of the two just work together, and then obviously the final dry brush to try and pull the caramel colour out from underneath, and it just pops. It really does pop. So we'll get that done, and I'll come back to you probably when I've sort of got one or two done and I'm getting a feel for it on a big piece, if you know what I mean. Because I might try and do the door pieces first or something like that, and I'll leave the dash till last, till once I've really got a feel for how it works. Because that's going to be the most awkward piece because it's big. But that's why I've got that bigger brush there to try and brush it out. Well, I've got a slightly wider brush and then a bigger brush. I'll probably even only use that slightly wider brush, I think, but at least it'll, I can give it a bit more effect, whereas these will work quite well with those small brushes. That works quite nicely with those small brushes, those pieces. So, and then I've got that one there and that one there. So I'll probably use that from a dry brush and probably, I don't know, we'll just have to brush it on and then spread it out or whatever with those little puddles, but I think it's going to work perfect. Yep.